another session of our live coaching calls. Joining me today is the community manager for Nido Marketing, Deneen Goncalves.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for being here, Deneen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today we're talking about something that I'm really excited about. I feel like this is, a lot of our coaching calls have been very academic is the word I'd use, teaching people like why we do stuff. But this is one of the calls where we're going to really dive into a how, which I'm excited about because hopefully by the end of it, you'll walk away with a really tangible skill that will serve you forever, not to oversell it. We're chatting about Canva. And Deneen, you weren't familiar with Canva prior to the coaching call.
No, and I've, spent the past few days looking at it. I'm excited to learn more and more about what you know about it because I think, not only for Montessori schools, but for like small companies that are trying to figure out all the nuances of creating their brand, adding really great things to their websites to make it compelling. I mean, I feel like this could be a really great tool.
It's awesome. And so just context for you, I am not a designer at all. I have a horrible eye. I'm really bad at it. And that's what I love about Canva so much is it makes it all so very easy. And to put it in just in a box, Canva helps you create visual content. So, banner images for your website, social media posts. If you're sending out a postcard, you can use Canva to design your postcard. Matt used Canva for his last postcard, actually, for Bergamo. If you're sending out an email blast and you want like a fun little, whatever, anytime you want to create visual content, if you're creating an infographic, Canva makes it really fast and really easy. It's extremely powerful, but also easy to use. It rides that perfect line, and I'm going to prove it today. Deneen, you and I are going to create an image actually. So start brainstorming about some stuff that you might want to build because we're going to do one live.
Cool.
And put ourselves on the spot.
Sounds good. I'm up for it.
And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like communication with parents needs to be visual. There's only so many blocks of text that people are really going to read, but if you can put, a nice, pretty visual in front of them that, kind of highlights the text, you're just more likely to capture their attention.
Yes, and especially if it's their child.
Yeah, what a great point. So, okay, there's other tools online. You've probably, familiar with things like Microsoft Paint is probably the most basic. Adobe Photoshop is the most popular, prosumer solution. But Canva, I think, strikes the perfect balance between, first of all, the free version is very, very robust. And you don't have to pay for anything. And that's something that we're going to highlight a lot here at Nido is we want to show you applications that you can use that are either free or almost free. And Canva's, I've yet to upgrade the free version of Canva, and I've been using it for 2 years. The free version has a massive library of pre-built templates. So the other really cool thing about Canva is you don't have to get lost in it for hours. We can do something in a matter of seconds, truly. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. And it has a bunch of really, I think, high quality free graphics. So royalty-free imagery, pre-created icons, just stuff that you might want to use, if you're creating a flow chart or something and you think to yourself, wow, I could really use a next arrow here. Canva's probably going to have something along those lines. And I'll show you what I mean. Another cool thing about Canva is you can access it anywhere. So instead of having all of your imagery on your computer and then you realize, oh no, I'm not home, I'm not at the office. It's cloud-based and it allows you to save your brand profile. So you can save your logo, your colors, your fonts, and then apply that brand profile to every subsequent image. So you put in a little work up front to tell Canva, hey, this is who we are and this is what we do. And then they kind of help you pre-apply that to everything else on an ongoing basis. And then lastly, it lets you do team sharing stuff. So if me and Deneen were working on an image together, I can add Deneen, I could add you to that image, and then you and I could be working on the same image and sort of like, group powwow, as opposed to the horrible email string that I'm sure we've all been a part of where you're trying to do collaborative stuff and go back and forth.
Does it work well with apps?
I'm not sure what you mean. You mean on the phone?
Yeah, like mobile apps.
Never tried it. I'm going to Google that right now. Can I use Canva on my phone? Because how cool would that be if you could?
Right.
Yeah, they have an Android app and an iPhone app. And it looks like it's pretty robust, actually. I'm going to pull up what I'm looking at here so you can see it. So you can make some edits, and they have a GIF here illustrating that.
Like, how neat would it be, if you're taking pictures with your phone? So, like, guides do that pretty often. If they had this app and can add some cool effects to it and then send it on over to you, and then you can use that.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's great. Oh, and they have an iOS app here too, which is awesome.
It amazes me that this is free.
I feel that way about so many pieces of software. I feel that way about Calendly. How do you guys afford to do that?
And MailChimp too. MailChimp just boggles my mind.
Oh yeah, MailChimp's unbelievable. I love supporting them. I kind of get a kick out of it when we end up paying MailChimp because I just feel like they've earned it every single time.
Because that's the way to do business, right? And you don't lose. You just
Yeah.
loyal people next to you.
Well, and we've tried to do it with Nito a little bit. We give as much away in the first plane as we can possibly afford to. At least I hope that's how people feel. And then the expectation is hey, when it makes sense for you, then you start to upgrade, and I think that's what people do.
Right.
I don't know if this is too tangential really for this conversation, but I want to bring it up. But I wonder what that is for Montessori. I wonder what that Ascension model is for parents. Like, what's the free thing Montessori schools can do before we're enrolled? Is it just like a quick course, or is that model even applicable? Are we, doing square peg round hole thing?
No, I think that's a good thought. And deserves some more conversation. I mean, instantly what came to my mind was like parenting support, right? Like you've got your 2.5-year-old and you're like, okay, I think I'm doing okay parenting, but I really have no idea what I'm doing. So what kind of gems can we offer to reassure our parents that they are good parents? Because I feel like there's just so much out there where there's just like a lot of parent shaming, like you're not good enough. And here's why you're not good enough, and here's what you should do next. And then they're all contradicting. And so, in the noise space of parenting, how can we be that anchor and reassurance that we have our children in the best space we can with the greatest intentions, and you're doing okay.
I love that idea. I feel like you could probably do that with a Facebook group or an online course.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a space we definitely deserve a voice in, and it would be a very powerful voice because we're very clear and pretty, I don't want to say basic, I mean, lack of a better term, just very concrete. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, really accessible. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to just, and I was working, side note, I was working with our nanny, just having her understand, I've got a 10-month-old, and the two things that we got to focus on are just language and movement. That's it. Is he moving? And are you talking? And that's it. It's that simple. Anything outside of that, or in addition to that, obviously feeding and sleeping, you're doing a good job.
Well, great notes. Let's brainstorm on that. I'd love to help build something that empowers our schools to offer something like that.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Just briefly, I want to go over some of the templates that Canva makes available. It's so much more robust than this, but just to help with the brainstorming process, the social media banners are a really big one. So if you land on somebody's Facebook page and you've noticed that across the top of Facebook, and I'll actually use ours as an example because it's not very good.
Yeah, we need to improve that for sure. Maybe we could do that today, actually.
Hey, what a great idea. Look at you. So here's the Nito Montessori Facebook page. Drum roll. And you'll notice that there's a banner image. This banner image, at least we have something here. And I actually think the call to action is pretty compelling. Sign up for free at nitomarketing.com, even though the image isn't great. But you'll land on pages, I think more often than not, where they don't have anything here. And then you get Facebook's weird gradient overlay, and your one opportunity to really speak to people is now gone. And then they're going to just start scrolling down and looking at your news feed. But the banner is one of the most important parts about your social profile. You can create posts, of course. I think this can be overdone. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of entities, I should say, rely too much on like the super designy posts, and I actually think that organic posts get far more engagement. And I don't think that the data shows that when you post like a person posts, using text or what's the word I'm looking for? Imagery that isn't completely custom and designed, but just taken ad hoc, candid photos, videos, those types of things people engage with more. But it helps when you're doing something like if you have an event that you're trying to promote. I think a Facebook post, you could design that. Facebook event banners, of course. Anything on your website. So if you're updating your website, and even stuff like staff profiles. For one of our members recently, we updated their staff profiles, and the headshots are all just kind of basic, which is no big deal. But you could put those through Canva, create a little template, and put a frame around it, and or a gradient or overlay or a lower 1/3, or put their name or their position or whatever. And Canva makes that really simple and very fast and easy. I won't go through all these, but you can kind of see on the screen. There's just a lot of things that you can do. And if we don't mind, I'm going to jump into the nitty gritty. Is that okay, Deneen? Can we just dive in?
Yeah, I think so.
So you help direct the process too. Canva.com, spelled just like it sounds. And what we're going to do here is we're going to sign up, and I'm going to sign up saying that we're in the education space. You can sign up with Google, which is probably easier, but I'll sign up with an email just so you can see what this process looks like. I feel like I always type slower when people are watching me.
Don't be nervous.
I'm not a robot. So now it's going to take us the sign up process, and it's going to ask us to answer some questions. I've done this before, so I'm going to choose teacher for our category, but note that you can actually pick something else if you feel like it might be a little more applicable to what it is that you're doing. We'll say teacher here as far as who we are. You can add your team members right away if you want to collaborate. Deneen, I'll actually add you.
Sure. When you pick teacher and you're creating your account, are you always a teacher, or can you change that?
It's not really a delineation inside of Canva. What it does is it dictates the suggestions they make in the startup process.
I see.
So, if I had chosen something else, they might be giving me different suggestions here. But inside of Canva, regardless of the status or the title you choose, you're going to see the same thing.
I see. Okay.
So it's not really even that big a deal. But what's kind of cool here is Canva says, hey, where do we want to start with? So we can just play with it, or we can say play with Canva. I'd like to start with one of these. You pick. Which one should we do?
Well, it is a little bit hard to read what I see card.
Yeah, we've got a social graphic, a logo. And by the way, you can create, if your school needs a new logo, this is a great place to start. I'm not saying you end here, but before you go, pay $1 million a minute to a graphic designer, get your core team together and start brainstorming using Canva, because it points you in the right direction and saves you some time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you this, and maybe now is not the time, but I'm going to ask, and you can always push this question later. How does Canva fit if you're looking into graphic designing? I mean, can it replace a lot of that stuff?
So much of it. Yeah, I'm actually going to pull up an example of something. Well, you know what? I won't do that. But the short answer is definitely yes. Canva does an excellent job at empowering you not to use a designer. So if you have a full-time designer, I'm not saying get rid of him or her, but this really helps amateurs bridge the gap. And so I'm just going to choose one here. Let's choose social graphics so I can show you what I mean specifically.
Yeah, sorry. I got
No, it's okay. So we decided social graphic, and you and I decided that the Nito Marketing Facebook cover isn't good. So I'm going to choose Facebook cover here.
Yeah, let's do that.
And remember, you don't have to start with a Canva template. You can actually start with a completely blank slate. But we're going to start with the template. Now, what's kind of cool is you'll see templates here inside of Canva, and you'll notice that they're tagged. So these are all free templates, and you'll get into paid templates. And the nice thing about the paid templates is they're usually $1. So it's not even like exceptionally cost prohibitive. And then I can search by key phrase. So if I wanted to do something, thematically applicable, since it's winter and we wanted to, change it out for the season, here's a winter template. And what's nice is you'll notice I just chose that template, but all of the elements here are editable. So you can make, adjustments as is necessary. I'm going to back up from that because I actually don't want to go with that template. I just want to go through each one of these sections in sequence. From the templates, I'm going to click on elements, and you can see all of the various elements are just tools in the toolbox. Think of these as, maybe like Legos that you're using, building blocks. So, we can choose a photo and we can put it on our canvas. You can resize the photo to be as big as you want. One of the really cool things I like about Canva is when you see a photo, you might notice just a element of the photo that you want to use. And so you can place it wherever you want, and position it however you want. They've got just sort of a random smattering of like shapes, charts, icons, um, different, again, just tools. You sort by photos, specifically graphics. But these are all of the, if you want to get really nitty gritty, these are the things you can play with. And then they have pre-designed text layouts. So, thinking about our purpose here for our Facebook banner, we probably want something, big and noticeable. And I just chose all white text against an all white background. So we would want to change that too. But it's just kind of nifty how, yeah, you could create this yourself using different fonts, but they have a bunch of templates available to you. Customize the background, upload your own photography. So if I want to upload my logo, and I'm trying to think about where the Needle logo lives. Here we go. And what's really nifty about this is once I upload this logo, it'll live here forever. And so I'll always be able to draw upon the imagery that I upload. And I can place this wherever I want. So I'm going to back up here. Let's go ahead and choose a template for our Facebook cover. And I'm going to ask you to drive, Janine, because I think you're going to be better at this than I am.
Well, so it's November. We're headed into fall. I like that one.
Oh, which one? One of these?
Yeah. I like the themed ones. Like if you create 4 or 5 and you just change them out. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. So I'm going to remove our logo and we'll choose one of these. And then the text again just becomes really easy to.
The problem is though, it's like middle of November. Before
Yeah.
we know it, like snow is coming. That's a good one.
And the other thing that we can do, you'll notice, like I can choose this image and I can say, hey, why don't we drop the opacity here, or the transparency, excuse me. And we can also go over to text and just choose something like I want a little more context here because we're asking people to join. So I'm going to delete these text boxes and go get something a little more robust. And a good example of what I'm trying to accomplish would be probably this. Even though I don't love those fonts. But I'll just show you what I mean. And it works a lot like Microsoft Word would, or Google Documents, where you just edit inside of this live space.
And I was thinking as you were going through this, I'm like, oh, it's like old school clip art.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And again, you just get to be so much more creative than I'm being right now.
Well, and I imagine this takes time, because you're browsing through the many, many different options that you have, and we all tend to be a little bit perfectionist. So it'll probably take some time to get it perfect.
Sure. And then, again, we have our elements here, wherever we want to place them. And however we want those to be placed. So again, just kind of trying not to drive the point too hard, but it took us, I don't know what, a minute or two to create this thing. Not that this is the best thing that's ever been created, but it is way easier and faster than, trying to send something to a graphic designer. And I don't know, I just feel like it saves time, effort, energy, money, and bam, we've got our Facebook banner image. And even though we created that in 7 seconds, I still think it's better than what we have now.
Yes. Yeah, it looks good. Maybe add a little bit of color here and there in the.
Yeah, well, and that's, the other thing too. The template I chose was probably a bad example because it only had one element and one layer. But some of these, like you notice this one has an image here, the background color. So I can change this background color to whatever I want. So like that goes blue. I can just change this color to yellow. And then I'm going to get all my text and make it black. And you can just see really quickly how you start to make this, fit your style and your theme. And we'll get a photo of students, let's say. I don't even really know what that means. Bam. and from what we had to where we are now, and it's just a completely different image. And I don't know, I feel like that's so much easier than just dealing with a blank slate and wondering, gosh, what do I do?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you can use this in your newsletters, on your website, even like when you're doing mailings, right? Like you can take this and send it to a distributor and have actual direct mail with these.
Yeah, well, I think that's such a good example too. I use this. I have a graphic designer on staff, two of them actually. You know them both, Donish and Yvonne, and they're both amazing. But it's better for me to come in here and say, hey, I'm going to start with my blank canvas and just give you an idea of what I want um, before I send you the instructions. So even if you're using a designer, this helps you jump in and mock it up, just sort of play inside of a sandbox, and then you get to hand it off to somebody who might be a little more equipped. Um, but I like doing that, and so it helps for the brainstorming process, and then um, bridging the gap between the person who's placing the order and the creative person.
Right. Well, and they usually charge by hour, right?
Most designers do, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can give them kind of an idea of what you're looking for without like a visual idea, I think that would help.
Yeah, and they tend to be pretty cost prohibitive too.
Right.
So anyway, and everything that we just played with is 100% free, which is just incredible. And when we look at their pricing, just so we're fair to these folks, in case you ever actually want to pay for it, let me pull it up. It's $13 a month or $10 a month if you pay annually, and it just gives you more bandwidth is one, and then I think you get a lot more imagery and templates. Like I said, I've been using this for about 2 years, and I've never ever had to upgrade. I've never once like reached a point where I've run out of storage or I can't do something that I want to do. So it's unlikely, I think, that most of our members have to upgrade. But if you find yourself getting really image heavy and doing quite a bit, then it'll probably be worth the $120 a year that this costs to be able to get really ultra creative. And I know some of our members are, I mean, just exceptionally creative folks. So I think this could be a powerful tool in their arsenal and their tool belt.
This could be a great thing too if you've got some very excited parents that want something to do, but you don't know what to give them. You say, here are some photos. Can you make them look really nice? We're going to put them in our newsletter. They could use this. Absolutely.
What a great idea.
Yeah, I think they'd love that. It gives them something specific to do and an end result.
Yeah. Just looking at the home page of Canva real quick, so you can see they've got this global header search, which I really like because it functions a lot like Google, where you don't really need to know what you're looking for. You just need to just type in a key phrase, and it's going to start to help you. And then over here, you can, this is like the dashboard, let's say. You can define your brand if you want to define your brand. These are my brand colors. These are the fonts that we generally use. Here are our logos. And when you do that, and it's asking me to upgrade now. That's so funny. On my free version, it makes these available.
Maybe you got grandfathered in.
I think I probably did. Either way, the fact that it lets you predefine your colors, I think, is really helpful. And then they have design school. This I haven't gone through, but I've heard 2 people tell me that it's just amazing. So they've got some really quick and easy courses that teach you how to do some fun things. And you notice each one of these videos is a minute or 2 long. So it might be worth going over.
Cool.
Just some real quick pro tips. Canva is connected to Unsplash. So for the most part, any photo you see on Unsplash, you should be able to get into Canva. And I bring that up because you can go to Unsplash and do some brainstorming there because their search functionality is a little bit better. What my designer does, Yvonne, he told me about this. He goes to Flat Icon, which is completely free icons. So if you wanted it, an icon of a stop sign, and I'm just choosing one randomly, you can grab these icons and then import them into Canva. Canva's icon library tends to be a little limited, so he uses Flat Icon for the icons and then dumps them into Canva. And it's weird how many icons are available for things. I don't know what that is. You can just type in a word and you start to see what it is that people come up with. So you'll notice that a lot of Nito's training is very icon based. And then the last thing that he taught me is this coolers.co helps you identify um, color palettes, which if you're not exceptionally creative like me, can be very helpful. So I'll just drag that over here so we can see what we're talking about. But it's a color palette generator. And you can use this, of course you'd want to use it for your primary brand unless you already have a color palette. But what I think is maybe even more fun is if you have like a specific thing you're doing, you have an event that's going on, you can generate a color palette specifically for that event. And it just gives you kind of a better starting point as to where to work with, what the hex code is going to be, etc. And then you can export this color palette into Canva. That might be a little bit of a deep dive, but there's no reason not to bring it up for those that really want to do the deep dive stuff. And that's it. That's kind of Canva in a nutshell. Super quick, very easy to use, which I think kind of speaks to how quick this call was. Any questions?
I like that we're moving in this direction because I think these tips are going to be really helpful just to try something new, or these kind of things are always on our mind, but we don't know what exists. So it's nice to bring them to the forefront.
Yeah, I want to get very accessible, like really tactical and tangible now. I think we've gotten a lot of this strategy and the academic stuff out of the way, and so now I want to teach our members how to do this stuff on a day-to-day basis.
Right, and it's mostly free.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Well, speaking of, next week's coaching call is going to be on Bonjoro.
Nice. Oh, yay, good. Except it's not next week, it's the following week because next week's Thanksgiving.
Oh, great point. Yes, so note to everybody, we're not doing anything on the 22nd. My fault.
Although we probably would, wouldn't we? Because we work kind of hard.
Yeah, work hard, play hard. Yeah, my wife's making me all gluten-free Thanksgiving stuff, which I'm excited about.
All right.
I know. But we'll do, on the 29th, we're going to be talking about Bonjoro, which is, Deneen, do you want to do just kind of a quick sort of teaser, we'll call it?
Yeah, well, it's a great tool where you can get yourself in front of prospective parents and families when they sign up, or they like they sign up for a newsletter, right? Is that we can somehow attach Bonjoro to that.
Yeah, any time they give you their contact information in any context.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool. And then so you'll get an email that says, hey, this person signed up. You can send them a Bonjoro and you can customize it where, what I find really fun is that you find something about this person or this family that's unique and you can kind of speak to that. So you're really connecting with them directly versus, a nurtured email that we spend so much time on, but we may not get parents to read it. So I think this is a really good way to kind of loop them into what we're all about. And it's very personable.
Yeah, and Bonjoro, I think, does a good job outlining how it works after they come into your fold, let's say, through truly any application, since there's Zapier integration. You send them a custom video and you can do that straight from your phone. How have you found the mobile app to be easy to use?
Yeah, that's actually the only thing I use. It was weird to me to like sign on my computer because I'm always creating these videos on my phone.
That's what they recommend too. They think that you get a better open rate and view rate because it just feels more organic.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, right? Like we're busy people, so we're out and we get this little message and we can stop for a couple minutes and say, hey, and I think that's part of the tie-in too, or the draw-in is, you're just taking a moment to stop what you're doing throughout the day to welcome somebody, which is very meaningful.
Yeah, well, I mean, you use their name, like you said, you bring up something really specific. I don't think there's a better way to impress somebody who's brand new to your database.
Right. Yeah, so we're going to talk all about that. I'm excited for that one.
Awesome. Let's do it. Yeah, this was an easy call. I kind of like those sometimes.
I know. And thanks, Melissa, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
As always. She's our power user.
Right. Cool.
That sounds great. Well, I hope everybody has a very happy Thanksgiving. Is Thanksgiving, is that kind of aligned with the Montessori thing, or is it more? I noticed some of our members are not doing Thanksgiving narratives as much as like, indigenous people, or kind of modifying some of that.
Yeah, I mean, in my classroom, I always took this as an opportunity to explain different perspectives in history. So
Yeah, since we kind of we've watered that one down a little bit.
yes, we have
Yeah,
quite a bit. So we need to let our 6 and 7-year-olds know that.
that's awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a happy Turkey Day, and we'll see you week after next.
Yeah, that sounds good. Take care, everyone.
All right, bye.